Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ruse Day Tuesday. I'm your host, Ruth Ann Thompson of Geek Chic Promotions. So, a little off today since I've been traveling so much and can't seem to know what time zone we're in, but here we are. I'm also rocking a very sloppy Janeway hairstyle, since if you're not in Los Angeles, it is far too hot out here to think or put your hair up or down. It's a whole thing. So I've been really, really stoked to talk to you guys about everything to do with Strange New Worlds. So I'm going to just go through it from the top, since I'm realizing with Geek Chic having the hiatus that we've had over the whole time of pandemic and everything else going on. So the last time I talked to you guys about anything Star Trek related, I was actually live tweeting from Geek Chic Promotions Twitter account talking about Star Trek Discovery, the first season. And just to start from scratch, wasn't the biggest fan of that show, but I'll never forget, it was like halfway through the season and I was at some very geek pop culture event with all sorts of wonderful nerds and started to discuss it with this podcaster named Hector. And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, "Did you like the original show and Star Trek Next Generation and all that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I grew up on it. I'm obsessed with those shows." And he's like, "Then Star Trek Discovery isn't for you." And I was like, "Oh, my world shattered," because it's true. That show was not meant for the aggressive nerds like us who've watched every single episode of every single original thing, and we want it to tie in perfectly. And because Star Trek Discovery, I feel, is its own thing. Like, it did very different, because Star Trek to me has always been about the full crew and making sure that everybody has everything, everybody has a part, everybody has a this, everybody has that, right? So Michael Burnham, it was definitely the Michael Burnham show, so I did not love it. But what I did love about the show is Captain Pike. Captain Pike was perfect. The second season of Discovery set up Strange New Worlds beautifully, and I've absolutely loved the show for all these seasons. I have loved how we've gone back and yes, not everything is perfect when it comes to the Gorn, we are missing a few loopholes from the original series and all that kind of stuff, but I don't mind it. I love that we've focused in on the Gorn being the big bad for, basically all of the Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Now, so let's talk about everything that's happened basically from San Diego Comic-Con to now when it comes to Strange New Worlds, because as hopefully all of you have seen, there was an amazing crossover with Lower Decks. And I've been told time and time again that I have to watch Lower Decks. I have to. And I get why now, because it's definitely made for people who will get every single reference ever. I loved how even the reactions from the actual crew to them, have you noticed that the references are oddly specific? It hit so hard for me. And just the magic of having these younger people on set who are just as wildly nerdy about the show as somebody like Jonathan Frakes, who did direct that episode, which made it even better when what's his face got onto the saddle and said Riker. It was just beautiful. And I can't imagine, as an aggressive fan, to be able to do a Riker joke in front of Riker on the set while you're also a part of Star Trek. I cannot even imagine it. It's that's so awesome. And also another improv line that I'm so glad that they stayed focused for was when she mentioned how she didn't expect how hot young Spock was, and they just kind of kept that going throughout the whole thing. So the crossover episode I really liked, and I've noticed even since right before that episode, Strange New Worlds has been kind of leaning into, because they leaned into the dark stuff and all the really intense stuff. But what I love that they've been leaning into recently is that very 1960s lightness and almost goofiness to everything. I don't know how more to explain it. I'll see if I can find the scene that I'm specifically referencing. It's just when they're on the bridge and they're just talking all chirpy and happy about science and this and that. I guess we should go down there. It felt very original Star Trek to me without being cheesy. So I loved it. Now, from the comments that I've seen from a lot of people, even us mentioning it on the Nerd Rage, last week. People have some emotions about the musical episode. And everybody was so excited for me to watch said musical episodes because, for those who don't know, that is my original calling, was musical theater. I know, shocking, right? So I was curious if I was going to, because like a lot of musical theater stuff, either I love it or I hate it. And there's very few times that, like, ever since the Buffy musical episode, not much has been able to match that, you know? And this came close. So I actually enjoyed the goofiness of it. My only issue was, and it really shows, and I know we're in the middle of a strike that's really, really important for writers and SAG-AFTRA actors and whatnot, but it really shows me just how differently a musical is to be written than a TV episode, because TV episode, and not saying it's harder, it's just there's added complications, because some of the music was good, though it did to me feel like it was pretty cookie cutter. Like they just kind of, I don't know, almost felt like they had the same program or something, and they just kind of like, let's do this song about this, but it's going to have the same cadence, it's going to have the same time signature, it's going to have the same rhythm, like the whole thing. I just wish that they had taken the time and really like made everybody's song a very specific type of musical number, if that makes sense. Like every single one kind of felt like a ballad. The best part, though, and I feel like we can all agree, is when the Klingons started singing and you were sure, you were ready, it was going to be like metal or something really obviously, you know, Klingon. And just kidding, it was absolutely boy band. And I loved that so much. I loved that so much. It gave me so much joy. So so there's that. But I overall, I really enjoyed it. Again, I just wish that the song, that they spent more time on the songs, you know, just the writing and creation, having them just be a little different. On that, I enjoyed it. I love to hear you guys' thoughts. And then I'm funny enough, I was so behind on like catching up with stuff because I've been traveling so much that I had usually what I do is I download episodes to watch on the plane. So I made the mistake of downloading it on the plane, but I thought I had downloaded the musical episode. I had not. I had downloaded the the doctor's episode where he deals with the war criminal, and that was not what I was expecting. And it was so much darker, and I was like, oh, okay. So a lot of people are against the musical episode, but let me tell you, it really helps to balance out between that a really intense episode and then this really intense season finale. Absolutely rude season finale. Oh my gato. So let's discuss the season finale. I mean, we can talk about the doctor's episode because that was so intense and so, like, I don't know about you guys, it felt like it wrapped a little too easily with him killing him at the end. Sorry, spoilers. It just happened so quick. I don't know. That was a lot. I might have to rewatch that episode. I don't know if I'll be able to emotionally though. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. But last but not least is the season finale. And so I've been talking to a lot of people about this episode. I feel like we can all agree that this had my favorite Star Trek save money like things where it's like, we have this colony and it just so happens that we designed the town to look exactly like a small town in like early 21st century, you know. But I saw it for two reasons. That it wasn't just, I mean, it was the lines that led up to it that really like hit home for me, because if you think about it, when this was written was at the height of when people weren't getting vaccinated, who should get vaccinated. And I don't know if you noticed, the first couple lines were all about, it's a small town. Yep, everybody's vaccinated. Don't worry. I inoculated everyone. Everyone's good. Like, they just pointed it out so many times in like that first like 5 minutes. I was like, I know when this was written. Because like, I'm sure just all scientists were just like, it's not that, oh my God. So yeah, the Gorn attack, it was super brutal. Everything was so intense. I am so worried about Erica because all they've been talking about, and I can't believe we have to wait another freaking season break to find out what happens. But the fact that still stressing me out to even talking about it. The fact that she's wearing red and they keep talking about how like, hey, you always wanted to come down, you know what I mean, like you wanted to be on an away party. And I'm really worried about Erica. I'm not gonna lie, I love them, her so much, whatever. I don't want to lose Eric. I don't want to lose Eric. But yeah, and it just the other thing, I love Nurse Chapel. I love what they're doing with Nurse Chapel in this series. I don't think they've noticed just how many times they've made her the damsel in distress, and then she gets saved by going out an airlock. Like, I don't know if they've noticed how many times, like, it feels like a really aggressive trope that they've used. And I don't know why, because it's like, oh, I guess she'll wear a suit again and escape the airlock again. It just, I don't know. For me, it seems a little redundant. But I'm glad that she's alive. I'm glad that she was saved. I'm so mad that we have to wait a whole nother break before seeing it. And now with these strikes, I'm so worried because, I mean, somebody calmed me down to the point that they already did film the next season because they just roll through, and it takes so long to get things taken care of. Oh, here we go. Oh, hey, Joshua. Sorry, I'm late. I was busy crying about my personal life. Oh, yes, I do know, Joshua. I'm really sorry. And I'm so glad that you still came to join because, yeah, this is, I think, at this point during the pandemic and the wrapping up and the inflation and politics and everybody's personal lives are very, very difficult right now. So thank you for joining and escaping with me through Star Trek. It's a joke. Joshua. I was like here for you. I was like, I know, I feel you. I feel you. It's been a rough time for us all, but I'm glad that you're here. So we're talking about the final episode this season, and I just so stressed out. Though so many good points. I loved as soon as I heard his voice, as soon as that Scottish accent released from his mouth, I was like, Scotty? I was like, say you're Mark Marie, Scott. Say you're, yes. I love that we have Scotty, and and for all the Scots out there, I'm so glad you actually have a Scottish guy finally to play Scotty on Star Trek. So congrats to you guys. I don't know. Now that we have this long break, before we find out what happened to everybody or what's going to happen to everybody, though, the one thing that's tricky about a prequel show like this, and it's been very specific to say that it is not a part of the JJ universe, that like this is not going to be an alternate timeline. This will follow, and like you can go all the way through to the original series after this. So we know Mbanga, I can never say the doctor's name right. My apologies. He is going to be part of, he's going to survive. So we know he's going to survive, but that's literally the only person that we know on the planet that's on the planet right now who's going to survive. I see Sam has also joined. Hello. But yeah, I'm just very nervous for how long this is going to be before we find out what happens to the rest of the crew that were, kidnapped by the Gorn. I am worried about how this will, because like one of the writers on the show has been a little not cool about being like, I don't care about that one episode of like, the original Star Trek, whatever, I do what I want. It's like, oh, God, we just want a Star Trek show that sticks to the rule. Like, I don't know why it's so hard. Just stick to the thing that we've done before, but it's, apparently very hard. So hopefully it'll still like all work out, that it kind of goes along with how we've dealt with the Gorn in the original series as well. Fingers crossed. So, apologies again that the timing of this is a different time, because I was really hoping to really get there's a few people who had talked about it on our Nerd Rage last week. So I was really hoping them to join and get all antsy about it. So comment in the comment sections, like what are your thoughts of the last few episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll comment right back. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Hit that notification bell and sign up for our Substack. We'll be having our newsletter come out tomorrow. That'll be talking about everything that we have lined up for what we're going to talk about Nerd Rage on Sunday. and all the new podcasts and stuff coming out. So again, thank you for those that joined, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week at the regular Bat channel of 12 p.m. PST to discuss what we want to talk about next, and maybe start having some guests on the show. So thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you all next time. Toodaloo.